What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today, we're diving in on the 35th anniversary of Uncle Buck. This movie, currently, as of me watching it, was available on Netflix, but I did definitely grab this right before its last day on Netflix, uh, going through it and being like, oh my god, what's about to leave? I gotta see Uncle Buck with audio description. It's a 1989 film with audio description. We have to encourage this. Um, so yeah, I definitely saw that there, and I have no intention of releasing this immediately because it's about to be spooky season, and this is not scary. So we're gonna probably sit on this for a month. So happy November, guys. This is how life works out. Because I'm gonna have a month of scary films, and yeah, this is where that's gonna go. Anyway, so sometime in November, you'll be watching this, and you'll be like, What? You watched this in September, and it's November, and how does this help?" I don't know. I don't know how this helps you, but at some point, it'll come back around with audio description, and you know it has it somewhere. It should. So anyway, uh, so this is Uncle Buck. It's a John Hughes joint, as the kids say back in the day. Uh, and it stars John Candy, and also an amalgamation of youth from the time. Jean Louise Kelly, Macaulay Culkin, Gabby Hoffman. We've also got Amy Madigan is in this, and this is the second time that I've reviewed a film this year with both Amy Madigan and Gabby Hoffman following Field of Dreams, which there is currently a review up of that, which I pushed out quicker because of the death of James Earl Jones. So they reteamed in the same movie, in the same year for another movie, for Uncle Buck. This movie was made for like $15 million and it made like 70 something. It has an oddly like barely fresh Rotten Tomato score. Like, I, it's funny because like every time I've ever heard anybody talk about Uncle Buck, it's always been like positive, and it's always been like, oh yeah, that movie was good. And oh yeah, that's one of those 80s comedy classics. Yeah. Why is this like struggling to get it like in the 60s? It's like, I don't know, like 61% or something like that. Anyway, very just sort of like randomly disappointing. So the film centers around a family that I was having a hard time tracking everything that they were upset about, and Jean Louise Kelly plays Tia, who is essentially the lead of the film, other than Uncle Buck. I mean, they spend more time with the eldest teenage daughter than they do the parents. And she's mad because they've recently moved to this new house, new town, new everything for them. And I guess she left some friends behind, but she seems more upset. And she like references like leaving dad behind. But like, then who's this? Like, mom moves fast, man, because mom moves so fast that she's met another dude who like cohabitates with them, and then they call his uncle in and like his brother in, and then like his brother is the one that's watching the kids that aren't, are they his? Is this their dad? Like I was, because she confused the hell out of me. Her anger was so misdirected, and she makes like a reference, like when she's just like grumpy teenager reference. She's like, "Yeah, if I left dad behind too, I'd probably have a heart attack." Something like that. Because the whole the catalyst for Uncle Buck coming into this house is that the mother's father has a heart attack, and maybe she should have left her grandparents. Maybe that was what the reference is that they used to live with their grandparents and now they don't. And I don't know, but it's very weird. I didn't quite understand her teenage rage is so boiling over the top that I was like, girl, what are you mad at? And she is basically the one who takes care of the kids because her parents uh, really have no personality. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. There's a scene in this film that is very much like the scene at the end of Home Alone, where like the troublesome kid and the parent who are at odds meet each other and they're supposed to have like this emotional reconnection. I'm sorry if this is a spoiler to you. This movie is 35 years old. There are people who are 35 and have children. So I feel like we've passed the point of me being able to have to worry about this. Anyway, and she just kind of like stares at Tia and they have that moment. Now it works way better between Catherine O'Hara and Macaulay Culkin because Catherine O'Hara has a personality. Um, this actress has no personality. The mother is so cold in this film. It's so weird. It is so bizarre how they play her. So like when she tries to have that same moment where she like comes home and like she and Tia have like an understanding, it's like, what? It doesn't really work because like there's nothing there. You have an angry, bitchy teenager who's like, I missed you. I guess I didn't really quite understand, you know. And meanwhile, the mom has done like really has had no character development whatsoever. And the dad, I don't even know. Is it? I don't know. I don't know what Bob's doing. So, yeah, we have. But the character of Uncle Buck, John Candy, is a comedy legend, which is why we're all here. We're not here for Jean Louise Kelly. We're not here for the. I mean, Macaulay Culkin, the one scene that he has with John Candy where he's rattling off questions is like a classic. And everybody knows that the reason Macaulay Culkin got Home Alone was because of Uncle Buck. He had worked with John Hughes on Uncle Buck, and John Hughes, when Home Alone came around, he basically told Chris Columbus, "This is the kid. You're gonna use this kid. This kid's gonna be great." And they were right. Turned Macaulay Culkin into a star. Um, he's worked with John Candy. Home Alone was his third film with John Candy, which is interesting because they don't even share scenes together. But they did in Uncle Buck, and he's also in Only the Lonely. So that's good. That's, you know, classic stuff there. Um, but, and it's funny, I'll say that for Jean Louise Kelly, I don't always remember her filmography or like what she's in or what she does, but I always remember she was in Mr. Holland's Opus. Like I remember her role in Mr. Holland's Opus, and it just sort of like, uh, that's sort of like a film for me that sort of like defines the 90s for me. It's one of my favorite films. And so Jean Louise Kelly is always at the top of my list of memorable roles from that. So I had kind of forgotten she was in Uncle Buck. But she's fine. She's effective as Tia. So um, Uncle Buck is called in at the last minute to uh, babysit these kids because there's a family emergency. And so Bob, the husband father, question mark, uh, he calls in his brother, who's Uncle Buck, who seems to. This is why I get so confused by like Tia's anger and statements and stuff like that, because Uncle Buck seems like, oh, these are definitely my nieces and nephews. Like we're related. Don't you remember me from back in the day? And like we've seen each other before. Like he approaches the situation with like exactly how you would expect somebody who is like blood related would. Not somebody who was like, oh, my brother married some woman with some kids. So I don't understand Tia. Like she's just angry. It's like you didn't leave Dad behind. He's right there. What are you talking about? Um, so yeah, Uncle Buck comes in and he's a hot mess. He's got this girl that he's, you know, maybe they're gonna get married at some point. Who knows? It's played by Amy Madigan, and he comes in and he can't even remember the kids' names, and he's cooking breakfast, and Jean Louise Kelly just comes down and she's like getting coffee, and he's like, "Oh, you drink coffee?" And you know, she's like, "Yeah." And it's not a thing. I'm not. He's like, "Do your parents know you drink coffee?" And she's like, "Yeah." It's you know, she's not doing it to piss him off. She's just that's what she does. Like, he doesn't understand that she's actually the one that takes care of her two younger siblings. So she functions essentially like a quasi half adult in this film. Um, it just makes terrible life choices because she has a boyfriend named Bug, which gets a little confusing in the audio description. Bug and Buck, when they're in the same scenes together, it's a little, eh, eh. What are you gonna do? I mean, and that's what they're called in the film. So there's nothing really to do. It's just kind of like unfortunate. It's like, ah, damn, John Hughes. Um, and of course, Tia has some scathing retort, like, "Well, your name's Buck." He's like, "Well, true." You know, as he makes fun of Bug. I think Bug is worse though, but I have a feeling Bug is not his actual name. But anyway, it's probably short for something or a nickname, or I'm sure if we dove deeper, if Bug got his own spin-off film. But yeah, basically John Candy terrorizes that kid until he leaves Tia alone because he can tell that Bug just wants one thing. And it's reinforced by basically every time we see Bug. He's basically like, "When are you gonna be ready? When you, when are you gonna be ready?" It's just fucking Bug. Anyway, so we have some great um uh, like homages to the horror movies with Uncle Buck, like talking about hatchets and the sharpness of a hatchet and how he's always prepared with one, and the scene where he just like takes down a door is just iconic. It's just a great scene. So there's a lot of things here that I really love. I miss John Candy. What a great actor. What a like a hilarious, just like a great on-screen personality. Um, just funny in everything that he does, and this film just really showcases that. So I know that they tried to do like a Mike Epps thing, and it's just like I don't know. I mean, I guess, but I don't like Mike Epps as much as I do John Candy when you try to put him as Uncle Buck in a TV show. Uh, I guess if you understand what it is about Mike Epps that people like, and then you just dive into that. But then I just think more people like John Candy and his vibe than Mike Epps. I think Mike Epps works more as a side character. I don't know, a best friend, not necessarily a lead. And John Candy, you would think that he's the side character, that he can't be the lead, but there is this weird thing that brings you into him that doesn't normally exist with people who look like him. We don't have a lot of overweight leads, and as somebody who was overweight and was growing up in this time period, people like John Candy and Chris Farley were like icons for me. And then they both died, and life was shattered for me. I still had Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was always pudgy, and then he died. And so, really, I'm just like lots of life questions about everything. Although Philip and Chris definitely were not because of their weight; they were because of massive drug use. Anyway, this is Uncle Buck. Audio description, I really liked it. It's one of those cases where the film 1989, actually I gotta say it's pretty well preserved for a 1989 film. I've watched films that are newer and the audio quality has been reduced more, and this 1989 version has been preserved pretty well. So they've kept pretty good care of the track before they transferred it over. So whatever the process was for this has kept it so that it doesn't sound like it's falling apart at seams. Um, And the audio description, though, is probably, was made like 20 years after the film. So it sounds a lot newer. And even if it doesn't sound like the newest, like it was made last year or something like that, it also doesn't sound anything like the film. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, this is definitely newer on top of older, but luckily Uncle Buck has not suffered massive amounts of sound degradation. So it's not that jarring of an experience. I've seen and heard worse before, and I appreciated that. I thought the audio description in general did a really good job, um, especially with all of sort of the little gags that John Candy does, and the just, I don't know, random sort of crass humor that he unknowingly embraces throughout the film, just because of who he is and how his character is written. So, yeah, it's a good movie. Is it my favorite John Candy movie? I don't know. Well, he's in Home Alone, which is uh, like an all-timer for me. So, it's really hard for anybody to really ever top that, which is kind of unfair because it's not really a film that focuses on him that much. Uh, this is a film that does focus on him a lot, and it really does showcase him, and not just him being funny, but also like a warmth to him. It's John Hughes, and having also reviewed 16 Candles this year, I didn't really find Uncle Buck to be that problematic. So, in terms of, they don't have like an Asian character walking around, but constantly there's a gong that's played after them. So that's good. We're moving along. We're progressive 5 years later. Uh, so yeah, John Hughes kind of defined '80s, but not all of it's perfect. Um, so that's Uncle Buck in a nutshell. In a short period of time, that was Uncle Buck. Uh, this I watched his as a kid, and I hadn't really seen it since then. So it all came in fresh to me. Although I've seen that Macaulay Culkin scene played separately before, just like, I don't know, like on YouTube or something like that. But otherwise, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen Uncle Buck, and I enjoyed watching it again. I don't know why this film has such a low Rotten Tomato score. I think it gives you exactly what it says it's going to give you, and John Candy does a really good job. I think the cast mostly does a really good job. I just, if my little quibbles about the film are, what the hell are they doing with the parents? And what is she mad? What is Tia mad about? Like, just, if you're mad about moving, just say that you're mad about leaving your friends. But she tries to insinuate that they left like family behind. It's very weird. Anyway, I don't understand it. I don't understand her anger. I wish she was just honest about what it was she was mad about. Um, and because it's not like she calls dad on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not like, "Dad, I miss you. Where are you?" Like, it's so. She makes like an offhanded comment, but it feels very weird. So it doesn't really ever make any sense. Uh, and again, I thought the parents were so poorly written here. So hard to get into them. Um, I would say the same thing. They've got Laurie Metcalf playing a neighbor here. She just kind of pops in and out. It's all right. She's all right in this. It's kind of a one note character, and I don't know. I wasn't fully picking up on what they were giving Laurie Metcalf to do. It's pre Roseanne, so she doesn't have that uh to weigh her down as to like people being like, "Oh, what we got to cast her as Wacky Jackie," like, no. So that's good, but I do wish that her character also had more depth, because her character seems very stiff as well. But so just like some little things. But overall, I enjoyed this 35th anniversary Uncle Buck. I'm gonna give it an A minus. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.